We've all seen those terrible bosses in shows like The Office, and yeah, we laugh at the crazy antics, but in the real world, it's really no joke. A bad leader is terrible for morale, they're awful for teams, and as we're about to see, they are seriously bad for business. Okay, let's get into it.
I'm sure you've heard this saying before, and for a really good reason. It is such a powerful truth, and it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's often not the work itself, or the commute, or even the salary that makes people walk away. It's the person they have to report to every single day. This one idea really sets the stage for everything we're going to cover.
Okay, here's a number that should really make you sit up and pay attention. 82%. Just let that sink in. It represents a massive, massive fracture in the modern workplace. So what exactly is it?
That's right. A staggering 82% of employees would actually consider quitting their job, not because of the company, but specifically because of a bad manager. And think about it. In today's world where people expect support and flexibility, this isn't just some small annoyance. No, this is a huge driver of employee turnover, and it impacts millions of careers and companies. It's a problem we just can't afford to ignore.
And while the human cost is obvious, let's talk about the bottom line. Because poor leadership isn't just some HR problem to solve. It's a direct threat to a company's financial health.
Just look at a really high-profile example. After the acquisition of Twitter, a whole series of really rapid changes, including huge layoffs, had immediate consequences. Employee morale was shattered, advertisers got spooked and paused their spending, and profits took a major hit. It's just a powerful reminder of how decisions made at the very top can create massive ripples through an entire organization.
So, how do we spot a bad leader in the wild? Well, we're going to break down the 10 most common traits. Think of it like a diagnostic toolkit. Whether you're an employee, a manager, or a CEO, knowing these signs is absolutely the first step toward finding a cure. All right, let's start with our first group of traits. These all revolve around one thing: control and command. This is all about leaders who either grip the reins way too tightly or are afraid to hold them at all. So on one end of the spectrum, you've got the bossy boss. You know the type? Think Miranda Priestley from The Devil Wears Prada. They're domineering, pushy, and they shut down any attempt at collaboration. But on the flip side, the timid leader can be just as damaging. They run away from confrontation, they never give real feedback, and they leave their teams feeling totally lost and uncertain. Both extremes are just recipes for disaster.
And lurking inside that control cluster is one of the most famous leadership sins of all: micromanagement. We've all seen it, right? The manager who needs to be on every single email, who has to prove every tiny detail. It is an absolute trust killer because it screams to your team, loud and clear, "I don't believe you can be your job." And the fallout from that is instant. Creativity gets completely stifled because nobody dares to take a risk without getting it signed off. People lose that awesome feeling of ownership over their work, which just destroys their motivation. And at the end of the day, you're left with a team of really frustrated people who feel like they're being treated like children.
Okay, next up, we've got a cluster of traits that cause, disconnection and disarray. This group is all about leaders who are either physically or mentally checked out, and they just create chaos and confusion wherever they go.
This is where you find the MIA boss, the one who delegates a ton of work and then just vanishes, leaving the team feeling completely abandoned. Then you've got the poor communicators, who don't set a clear direction, and the whole team is just adrift, like a ship without a rudder. And finally, there are the leaders with terrible time management, who become a bottleneck for everybody else and create that exhausting culture of constant last-minute fire drills.
Our final cluster. Well, this might be the most toxic of all: the culture killers. These are the leaders whose behaviors actively poison the work environment. They dismantle trust and collaboration from the inside out. This toxic bunch is usually defined by ego and fear. You see it in the know-it-all who just ignores any valuable input from the team, or the leader who plays favorites, which just fractures the team. And what about the inconsistent boss, whose unpredictability creates constant anxiety? And maybe worst of all is the leader who always plays the blame game, creating a culture of fear where nobody wants to take responsibility for anything.
All right, so we've spent a lot of time diagnosing the problem. It's pretty clear what bad leadership looks like. So the billion-dollar question is, what can we actually do about it? Let's pivot and talk about the solutions.
First, let's look at this from the employee's point of view. If quitting just isn't an option right now, don't worry, you are not powerless. There are actual strategies you can use to manage the situation and protect your own career. So, first and most important,
Always maintain your professionalism. Don't let their bad behavior damage your own reputation. If you have a micromanager, try to stay one step ahead by anticipating what they'll ask for and just over-communicating. With a poor communicator, it's so important to confirm instructions, maybe send a follow-up email, just to make sure you're both on the same page. And this is crucial. If the behavior ever crosses the line into bullying or harassment, you have to document it and involve HR.
But look, coping strategies can only get you so far. To really, truly fix the problem, we need to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, the solutions that both companies and leaders themselves have to embrace.
Organizations have a massive role to play here. They've got to be way more careful about who they promote, because being great at your job doesn't automatically make you a great manager of people. And companies have to invest in their leaders with ongoing training, mentoring, and feedback tools like 360-degree reviews. That's where leaders get anonymous feedback not just from their boss, but from their peers and the people who report to them. It gives a complete picture of their real impact.
And if you are a leader or you hope to be one, this slide right here is your roadmap. It all starts with reliability, building that solid foundation of trust through consistency. Then it's about self-awareness, knowing your own limits, you can let other people shine. It's about honesty, communicating with real transparency to earn genuine respect. It's agility, being able to adapt your style to what your team actually needs. And maybe above all, it's respect, truly appreciating what every single person brings to the table.
At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. Leadership leaves a legacy. Years from now, the people you manage will remember how you made them feel and how you helped them grow, or how you didn't. So the final question I want to leave you with is this: what will your team remember about you?